Oh my.
Okay, I don't know, but okay. Hello, good afternoon, everybody. We are here in the WAP Experience 2020. So, as you know, this is the Semana de las Lenguas, and in our presentation for today, we have a fundamental and astonishing topic, which is sociolinguistic and pragmatic competence. Okay, so to discuss about this topic, we have here three teachers. We're going to talk about these sociolinguistic and pragmatic competence. This is important when teaching and learning English because if we know how to use these tools in the classroom, we are going to achieve teaching well. Okay, so to start with this, we have here some questions, and the first one is, what is the main difference between sociolinguistics and pragmatic competence? Okay, so in this part, it is important to take into account that there is a big difference between these two competences. Okay, the first one, sociolinguistics, talks about the different combinations that we can make with the parts of speech and with all the grammar that we know, that we have in mind to express the same idea. For example, if I ask someone, how are you? Okay, I'm asking for the status of that person. But also I can use the next sentence, how is it going? Okay, to express or to require the same information. Okay, so that's sociolinguistics, the combination of the different possible um, grammar structures. Okay, and also we have pragmatic competence. This is more difficult because well, how to explain this, we have to have a big amount of knowledge to understand this. We need to understand the culture, the environment, as well as all the experiences that the country or the person has lived so far. And also we can explain this with an example. For example, if we are asked to have a drink and we say, okay, no thanks, and the person then repeats the question, it is more common, or it is likely to to say yes, because pragmatics tell us that the correct way to accept an offering is for the second time we are asked this question. Okay, so that's the idea. Pragmatics needs culture as well as um, past situations, experience. That's the key word for that. Okay, so the second question is for our partner, France, and this is, what is the relationship between these two competences with linguistic and communicative competence? Okay, we'll listen to the teacher, Francisco.
So yeah, thank you, Felix. And yeah, the relationship between them is that both of them complement each other. We cannot use language to communicate without knowing the grammar rules, and in the same way as linguistic competence, we need to know the sociocultural rules to use the language appropriately. So one cannot go with another one. They are both necessary to complement our language learning in an effective way. And yeah, that's the explanation. So let me introduce Mari with the third question, that is, who are the main linguistics when talking about sociolinguistics and pragmatic competence?
Yeah, some techniques. Yeah,
Canadian Whale model for communicative competences serves to emphasize the probably non-linguistic aspects of language. This competence will be paid enough attention to the understanding a broader concept for communicative competence. Despite the sampling of the model by Connolly and Swain, it is used frequently to define the term. Then it has also been dominating language teaching cycles for the decades, even after another research, lately Eve Barham, who mostly look at the concept from language distance perspective, proposed his own model in 1990. Braham propose a new model for communicative competence, which evolved from that of canons and Swain. He preferred to name in communicative language ability a broader term which include communicative competence and language proficiency.
Okay, yes, that's a good explanation. And remember that those linguists, sorry, they talk about this and they help teachers to develop the approaches. Okay, taking into account approaches and those comments, we can go to the point that we need these competences when learning a language. Okay, to be communicatively competent, yeah. So next question is, how can you teach both competence when teaching English? And we have the teacher Camilo here. Okay, we listen to you, Camilo.
Thank you, Felix. And I think that this is a very interesting question.
Go
Um,
on.
I think that teachers can like show some videos about people talking in real life situations. For example, teachers can show interviews of famous people because in those interviews, uh, people use language in their daily life, and they can use expressions that are not common for beginners or for learners. And also, I think that teachers can make students aware about how language can vary depending on the context, and also teachers can use some extra resources and show them how culture can vary depending on in which place of the country they are. For example, it's not the same the culture in the north of the United States or in the south of the United States. And also the way to talk is very different. And I think that also teachers can show students some expressions. These expressions can be expressions that only native speakers use in their daily life. And it's important that teachers show students how to use it, when to use it, and who with who use it, because you're not talking in the same way with a friend or with a teacher. So you have to know in which situation you use every expression.
Yes, additionally, if you let me, there is something that we have to consider when teaching. Uh, I'm going to point out that there is a big difference when talking to a teacher or to a friend. No, this is very common when the students write because they sometimes confuse what is formal and informal. For example, when writing an essay or an article, they think that they can use contractions as well as phrasal verbs, and teachers should be clear on that point. There is a big difference when you talk with respect and with none, and in what context you can use some expressions. Okay, and also phrasal verbs because depending on the context, dictionaries have a meaning, but also the meaning from the street it can be misunderstood. And in this part, it is fundamental to teach the correct pronunciation because if we mispronounce a word, we can give a bad idea or a wrong idea. Yeah. Okay. So nice, interesting. So next topic to okay, next thing. Well, as you can see, people here we have social linguistic, and here you have the explanation. Just try to write down this in your notebook. Social linguistic competence is the ability to communicate appropriately by using the right words, expressions, and attitude towards a specific topic, setting, and a relationship. And that was Camilo said. Okay, formal or informal context. Okay, so this is the next presentation, social linguistics, and well, we listen to our partners. Okay. Um, well, it seems nobody's going to talk about this. Well, broadly defined is the study of language used across demographic lines. It's interesting in how this group speaks differently from that group: gender, socioeconomic status, age, ethnicity, geographic location, and so on are all possible dividing lines. And well, just a comment on this. Labab conducted a study in that age in New York, and well, he noticed this because the people who are poor talk differently from those people who are rich. Okay, and for example, the the sound of the letter R. Okay, and well, a good example of these, the best example that I can give you, people, for understanding this is British English and American English. Remember that we have some words in British and American that they are, well, they express the same idea, but they are different. For example, cookies or biscuits. We can also say pavement and sidewalk, and truck and lorry, and so many examples. Yeah, but that's linguistics, social linguistics. So I hope this is clear for you guys. Um, okay, so next topic is pragmatics. Can you guys give us another point for this? Any comments? Pragmatics. This is broadly defined, okay, and is the study of language used in context, okay? So while linguistics, social linguistics provides information about how to use different pieces of grammar, pragmatics tell us, okay, grammar doesn't matter at all. We can say many things that maybe are grammatically correct or not, but you are expressing an idea different from the idea that you can get from the meaning of the words. So, for example, if you say, oh, "Look at that girl, she's very cold," you don't mean that she's very cold. I mean, she doesn't have a lack of temperature, but also you mean that she's beautiful. And also another example of this is the colors. Okay, for example, if a partner tell you, "I'm sad," or if a partner tell you, "I'm blue," it is the same, but pragmatics explain this. Okay, so um, well, here we have more information. We have further information about uh, pragmatics and sociolinguistics. But well, don't worry, you are going to be able to to download this presentation from our page at WAP. So don't worry for this. Okay, here we have a good exercise for this, but just a break of 10 minutes, guys, and then we go back to this. Okay, so it's time to have a coffee and go to bed. um, See you in 5 minutes.